photos. Move this over. Beautiful. Welcome to the War Report. What's going on, Shy? How you doing today, homie?
I'm all right. I had a space heater die on me this morning, so where it's a very somber mood in the apartment today.
I'm sorry to hear that. What? How long did you have the space heater for?
Well, it's actually one that I took from my job because I wasn't going to be there over the break, over the holiday break, and I was like, why would I have this perfectly fine space heater sitting at my desk when I could take it home and have it blowing on my feet while I'm at home? And it did its job, but and then it died today, which would make sense because I was going to take it back to the office on Thursday. So I guess it's just like I don't want to be in either place anymore.
I've done my time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody thinks about the space heater pension plans.
Yeah.
They don't have an out. It's just work till you're done.
I mean, they're real workhorses. I mean, if you use them the way I use them, you're kind of technically out of your warranty reach, like a week or so in. There's nothing that can be done for you now the way that I use a space heater. So, it put in good work for me at the office, which was impressive because that place has high ceilings and I just needed it to keep my feet warm and it did what it needed to do. And now I'm just going to have to order another one. But, you know, it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. You know what I mean? Especially because yesterday it was working. So
good times back then, not anymore. It's over.
Not anymore. Yeah, pour one out. Pour one out.
I always think it's dope when people look back nostalgically at like physical things like inanimate objects.
Oh, I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I don't know if you watch the show Gilmore Girls, and I'm willing to bet you did not. But
I did retroactively. I did. I became a fan. Gabby got me into it.
Okay, I was gonna say, did your wife, for sure? That is definitely a wife/girlfriend. You got to see this kind of thing.
Won me over.
But the main character Lorelai named all of the inanimate objects in her house. And I'm not quite there, but if it is something that I use a lot, like in a workplace, I will name them.
Okay.
At home, it's just whatever name comes to me. But at the job, so at my current job, I'm in charge of like the printers and stuff, and I can't, and they all just have names, just like C15 asterisk, umlaut, and I don't know, and people just throw that at me, and I'm like, I don't know which one that is, or they're like, the one that's over in the corner, and I'm like, they're all in corners, so I don't know. So I just went through with the labeler and I gave them names.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, and then I put the name on whatever paperwork coordinated with that printer, and now people just come up and they're like, "Yeah, Tommy's acting up." It's so crazy how quickly they were just like, "I guess this one's Tommy," and so
that's
it just
awesome.
Makes my job easier. When I worked at a video store, we had like a whole shelf of rewinders because VHS tapes, and we named the rewinders. And I started that. I was just like, well, we need to be able to know which one is doing a good job. So we got to put names on them.
Okay. Logical,
Yeah, very
There's also
logical.
numbers and, other systems that people have used.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's still name. A name is definitely, because there was one that I named Rawhide just because, and it turned out to be a real workhorse. And when it finally died, we hung it up from the drop ceiling.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, man, we were really upset about Rawhide. I'll be honest with you. We were very upset.
Well, moment of silence for Rawhide here at the War Report.
Never forget you, Rawhide.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. I also like because it's like it's a way of preserving innocence, Like as a kid, you name so many things. It's beautiful that we can still do that as adults and not be judged for it, You just gotta have a valid reason for it,
Yeah, yeah. You also have to work with people who are willing to be like, okay, like, all right, we'll let you do this, but you definitely have to start wearing pantyhose to the office or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you got to show that you're a grown up in other ways. We'll let you name the printers or whatever.
I
But
realized that like when I had jobs, I could do weird things like that only because I was in charge. Like, as
mm,
long like I do my job well, I'm in charge, so like you gonna let me slide if I got like weird quirks. Like I was like real insistent that like my lunch always be on the left side of the fridge. you know and like I was just real adamant about it because I didn't want to be looking through the fridge. There's 40 people in the store, so I was like, yo, my stuff is always top shelf left every
that's
time.
so funny.
And like initially people were like, what's, and I explained my logic behind it. I was like, yo, listen, I'm out there, I'm killing it on the floor for you guys. You guys call me for customers when you don't know what to do. So my lunchtime is rarely my lunchtime. I always got to go out and help somebody, and that's fine. I like it. It's my job, but this is what I need to do that. And I explained it a couple times, and like little by little, word got out in the store, and like my section would be empty, even if I have lunch. Like that part of the fridge, it was just like reserved. Nah, don't put that. Like new people would come in, and they would be
And they're
like, "Yo,
like,
this is the
don't put
fridge, but
your
don't put your stuff here. That's Gastor's area. Leave that alone. You can use the rest of the fridge, but that top left, Gastor all day. He's reserved it." I think that's dope.
That's actually that's brilliant. That's brilliant, and I love that you were afforded that kind of respect.
Yeah, you earn it.
Yeah,
I like it. I didn't
yeah.
get to the point to name it. I wish I had a rawhide in my store. I regret now, but
Yeah, Rawhide was definitely he worked harder than many of the employees, myself included.
much respect.
Yeah.
Oh man. Welcome to the War Report. My name's Gastor Almonte. I'm with the homie Shalewa Sharpe. Chilling out here today, kicking it with y'all. As you see, Shalewa is having a good time right now with the work
I
environment.
just everything I now that I'm on video, man, you're gonna see the complete like everything's a mess. I'm fully expecting like this backdrop, this very lush backdrop, which is a flat sheet, to just come folding down over all of us and engulfing us in darkness. I fully expect that to happen. Like
They're gonna see the
it's
truth
always
behind
something.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, the truth behind us. It's fine.
I'm I'm a
But
I'm gonna be the opposite. You're gonna slowly see my set improve in like a disproportionate way. Like everybody's gonna be like, all right, you trying way too hard for a podcast. Like, take so take this image right now where you can see like my closet and like my filing cabinets. I promise you in 4 weeks, there's gonna be like a dance team in the background. It's gonna be crazy. Lights all over the place, streaming.
wow.
You see, I'm an overachiever in that regard. So it's gonna be wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and I promise you that I will wash my flat sheet.
Here we go.
That's really the only promise I can make to you at this
And
time.
if
But
Shalewa
just
does
know
it,
that
Rawhide will for her. Somebody will.
it is from the heart.
I'm excited. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good times. I'm a little more preoccupied with other stuff than normal when we do the podcast. Normally is all I'm focused on. But normally I take the kids to my in-laws for the school day, which means I have full attention here.
Mhm.
One of my in-laws got COVID.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
so they quarantined within the house. So they got like my uncle, my brother-in-law, like he's separated from his parents. My father and mother-in-law thankfully have gotten retested. They're clean, but we're still not going to take them over there because my brother-in-law still has this situation going. So we're gonna wait that out. And that's it happens. But in turn, I'm now with my kids, and I had to like check in on them mad times, and
Right.
there's like they're doing schoolwork, right? They're in the Zoom classes, and the one thing that nobody accounts for when when like the Zoom transition is like I've lost the power of like the pop-in, because like it used to be like when I popped into my kid's room, like I had a really good feel of like when they were doing something they weren't supposed to on the laptop. You know,
Sure.
I got no read of that now because it just always looks like that now. Like, you know, like every time I walk in there, it just looks shady as hell. Like, oh, you in a Zoom meeting? You're 11 years old. Why are you in bed right now at a Zoom meeting? This is weird. You know, how come you're, you know,
Okay.
and I'm like mistrust, like all my judgments are off. So like I got hyper aggressive today because like I'm at like my son's science class. I wanted to make sure it wasn't some like weird dude talking to my son. So it's like, let me see the teacher. Let me see the teacher. And it was just a teacher. It really was. He was just talking about like planets and shit. But it just sounded weird. Like I was like, why is this 50-year-old guy talking to my son while he's in bed at 11 o'clock in the afternoon? It was a lot of it was hitting other chords, but it was just perfectly fine educational environment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a tough adjustment to make, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um, I would say tell your kids to get dressed and at least sit up, but
Nah.
I mean, I did my entire workday yesterday in bed. Whole thing. I had a Zoom call and I mean, you see, I have a setup so that this is normally where I work.
Yeah.
I didn't take it out of I pushed some pillows up, and for the Zoom call, I used my phone and propped it up on the laptop. You could see just everything, mugs everywhere. I just did not. I was like, I can't do it today. Today is from
It's
bed.
done.
I got a lot done,
Okay.
but I was like, y'all just gonna have to. I took a shower and
Okay.
then got back in bed. Like that's what I did. Like it was just that was the day. That was the day.
That's the nonsense
So
my son was doing. He was like right before we came back from the break, whatever. We're still in the freaking house. I don't know what it means.
I know what it
Yeah,
means to come
they
back,
gave
but
him
I know
winter
what you mean.
recess, which
Yeah.
is nonsense to me. But yeah. so he's like, Dad, like we got class tomorrow, and like it was gonna be the first day that they were gonna stay here because of the situation. So I was like, listen, you're not going to your grandma's. You don't got to get fully dressed. Just look presentable on camera. You know what I mean? So I said that, and I felt like that was enough. Like I thought I
Mhm.
communicated to him what that meant. So I see him yesterday, and he's got jeans on, no shirt, and I'm like, yo, like you've been taking classes for like 2 hours now. And he's like, yeah. I was like, you taking the classes like that, like with your shirt off? And he's like, well, you said I could get like half dressed, but be comfortable. I'm like, yeah, the half they see. Like, not, you don't put your pants on. You know what I mean? Like, to everybody in school, you just look naked right now. Like, you understand that? Like, they don't see from head down. You did it backwards. So,
Oh my
yeah, that was
god. Also, you said be presentable, and he heard half dressed and then picked a half.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing here? Like, he was like, well, he was telling me, like, the way he interpreted it is, he's like, he was like, when you say that when like grandma comes over, it means put on pants. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I give you that. But grandma isn't on the Zoom call. I mean, this is real. This is a Zoom call. That's real life dynamics. It's different. Also, I tell you to put on pants because we haven't had full on sex talk, but you're at the age where you get like accidental erections. So I don't want to have
Oh, so yeah, you gotta have
you gotta
pants
have
on.
pants on, B.
Yeah.
So I felt like it made sense to me, but I apparently need to clarify for him a little bit more.
Maybe you need to make a little poster just on some cardboard,
Yeah,
that says top, bottom, both, and then just like a little clip,
I like
and
it.
you circle, just a little sticker next to the one that they need to dress. So for Zoom classes, top, for people coming over, uh, bottom, at the very least,
Yeah,
bottom, and then, both for when it's like, it just come on, you gotta, yeah. So, I mean, I imagine in this day and age, there may not be much both, but at least a top and or a bottom.
yeah. I
would-
thought I made it clear. I thought I was being like the cool dad. Like, yeah, he's gonna love this. I'm being a little loose with the clothes. I ain't meant that loose. I ain't mean all that. Like, that's not the MO I was trying to put out there. And on top of that, I guarantee you, Shalewa, I promise you that those teachers know. Like, I'm sure Gabby, my wife, I'm sure she texted them and told them, yo, Gastor's along with the kids this week, so they know. Oh, shirt off Aiden as dad's fault. They putting that all on me right now. I'm gonna get weird emails all week. Like, hey, just so you know, your son has been shirtless since Friday.
That's so terrible.
Yeah.
Just get messages like your son is running around with no shoes on. Like, your son's been eating dirt.
You know what I mean?
What's
Like,
happening?
what's happening in these Zoom calls, man? I got to talk with that dude, man. But yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Oh man.
Let's get
well,
into the news this week, Sha. But yeah, I got that going on in my house.
okay. Well, I understand. I understand. You do whatever it is you need to do to handle that situation. I fully understand.
Oh man. Let's kick it off here with blood everywhere. I love this title. Did not expect the article to go where it went. Blood everywhere. Aggressive squirrels terrorizing and attacking NYC residents for weeks. That's right. Some people living in the Queens neighborhood of Rego Park are afraid to leave their homes. That's because there have been several aggressive squirrel attacks over the last few weeks. Michelle Frederick is still bruised. Her bite wounds are healing after she was attacked by a squirrel a week ago. And she is quoted as saying, you hear someone who has been bitten by a squirrel, and you're like, okay, you get a little nib. What's the deal? But this was an MMA cage match, and I lost. She got bodied by a squirrel, Sha.
I believe it.
By a squirrel.
Yep.
And what's dope is she got like corroborators. Like, as soon as she told this article, people started coming forward to the cops like, yo, we've been getting bodied by these squirrels too. You know, there's 2 other people in this article listed that they've also been attacked by the squirrels, and they called for help. They called the local authorities, who apparently told them, yo, just set our traps. That's not our department. It's all on them. I enjoyed kicking off this article like this for a few reasons, Sha. One, I feel like this is the very lowest scale of me still rooting for blacks over whites here. I'm really happy to hear these squirrels are winning all of these battles. I don't care. I know I'm now picking animals over people, but I was real happy to see it was a Michelle that got bodied a little bit here. Michelle Frederick, I'm sorry, but when I saw your name, I was happy to hear that you lost this battle. I'm rooting for Chip and Dale, you know, Monterey Jack, all of them rodents.
Okay. I'm going to come in with the opposite view.
Okay.
Fuck a squirrel. And I say that from the bowels of my being.
Okay.
Fuck a squirrel. I have lived in 3 separate places where squirrels have eaten their way into the house.
Wow.
Atlanta was no joke. And you know, for the most, I mean, you think of, the thing is, it's the bushy tail. People see the bushy tail. You only see them outside, and they just seem to be hopping around, bushy tail, carrying acorns. And you're like, that's cute. Yeah, that's adorable. Fuck that. They're rodents. They're rats. They're rats with a fancy tail. Okay. They're rats with banker's hours, because you never see them at night. And so they're rats with a fucking stole and banker's hours. And let me tell you, okay, so first time,
I love it. There's multiples of this.
Yeah, the first time I'm living with my friend Jordan. I've moved into the house that she was living in. You could hear squirrels kind of up in the attic, and then they just chewed their way down into the wall, and then chewed their way down like to the floor, in between, like the wall between my room and another bedroom.
Right.
So I start to see a little hole forming, and I'm like, well, that's not good. You know, something's chewing its way into my bedroom. So I let our landlord know, and he comes over, he sets a trap. And it's like one of those big cages where if you're the animal and you walk into it, it shuts behind you. You can't get out of it. That way they can go trap and release form, right? Let you go somewhere else where you can then terrorize another family. So that's the kind of trap he sets. He sets that kind of trap, no problem. I come in from someplace at night. I turn on my light. there's a little squirrel in the trap. Things shut behind him. He's in the trap, just kind of like, "Rah." And it's like, oh, all right. So we got him. We got the squirrel.
Yeah.
I go to bed. Now, at this time, I'm young. I'm like 25. So I'm sleeping on a futon that's, I don't know, 3 inches off the ground. You go through that point in time, perhaps.
Yes, indeed.
And yeah, so I'm not far, but I'm like at the opposite end of the room from where the squirrel hole is, but I'm still on the floor. So I go to bed for the night. About 4 or 5 in the morning, I hear just the squirrel is in the cage making a horrible ruckus. And I'm like, what is going on? So I turn on the light. Now, the trap closed behind it and was up against the wall where there was a hole that he came out of.
Right.
Well, his mama came through wearing a fucking robe and curlers. She's got like a rolling pin with her. She's come through because her baby got locked up.
Yeah.
So she's angry. So she's running around my room while the baby's in jail, just like, rah, rah, Attica. And like, I'm like, the fuck. So I just put on my clothes and go to work. At the time I worked at the mall and I was extremely early. So I just sat in my car, just shaking. And
you did a work shift and you left them things in your room?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I fully expected to come back and had gone through my CDs, like all of this. But I let the landlord know. He went back over there and really fully expected what was going on. And then was like, later on, he's like, oh yeah, I caught 4 more. And there may be a few left. Like a whole family was in the attic and just chewed its way into the house through my room. So then I left a trap there for him. Okay, great. So then the trap that he left wouldn't close all the way. So the 2 squirrels that were left would just come out into that trap, do some pull-ups, and then go back into the yard, like back into the wall. And I was like, what is this? So that's, finally got them out, patched it up. I was like, squirrels are bullshit. Like 3 places later, I'm in an apartment where it's a 1920s building. Squirrel manages to somehow get between the brick of the building and the plaster wall and is just chewing its way through the plaster, never fully gets into my living room. But what it would do is get to my windowsill about 8:30 in the morning, do most of its chewing in the morning, and then spend the afternoon and evening sniping and barking at other squirrels who may want to come into where they live. And I'm like, bitch, you don't even pay rent. And then I tried to put a trap on the outside on a windowsill and it just ate the nuts off of the peanut. Like I put nuts on peanut butter and then it just ate the nuts out of the peanut butter and kept it moving. And I was just like, oh no, I can't with these squirrels. And then the third time was a house that I was living in and they were up in the attic and then they just chewed up everything and then left and then came back again. Like it was their vacation home.
It was Airbnb
like they would go
into
away
them?
for a while. Yeah. And then they just come back like, yeah, let's see what Miss Lady's doing down there. I'm telling you, squirrels are evil.
Now,
so I say, fuck the squirrel.
Listen, I hear one difference here though, I gotta say. It's notable.
What's that?
I agree with you. The squirrels you dealt with.
Oh, that they
evil.
didn't bite me or anything?
Well, it's just the fact your squirrels were evil. I'll give you that. But keep in mind, the reason those squirrels are evil is because they broke into your house. All of these attacks were outside. So you come into my place, fuck you. You right. You a criminal at that point. I don't care what you are. You know what I mean? But when people leave their front door and go into nature, you are now in their house. So when Michelle got attacked, she was on the block. She wasn't in her crib. She showed that bloody field in her picture in the article. She said, look at all this blood on the floor. Well, you know where the blood was? It was on grass. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That sound like squirrel territory. You know what I mean? So I'm pro squirrel. That's what I'm saying. Now, this is like everything else. You got some bad seeds. That's what you dealt with. You dealt with a gang out there. I hear you. You know what I mean? Those are the Bloods and Crips of the squirrels. They came for you, shot.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All
That's
right.
different. I hear you. Those are the bad squirrels. I don't fuck with them. But squirrels as a whole, you can't judge them. or for those squirrels you dealt with?
I still think they're rough. I imagine it's probably not right to attack squirrels where they are, which is outside, because I for sure had squirrels throw shit at me at a college. My 1 year of college, those squirrels would throw shit at everybody walking by, and I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
it's home field. Like you in my
Yeah,
area.
I understand. It feels like a bit much, but I understand squirrels. You're outside. I'm not going to try and chase you, but
Like, listen,
but I still think they're evil.
I feel like I understand why people like nature. They like trees and grass, all that jazz. I hear you, but I never got the impression that like God put us there. Like, I feel like whatever created us, it didn't put us by the trees, but it damn sure put squirrels there. So when we
Okay.
go there, we gotta come as guests, like visitors. You gotta ask permission. You gotta be like, okay, I sit here. You know what I mean? Be chill. That's all I'm saying. You don't want beef with the squirrels. Don't just walk in acting like you own shit just because you taller. You know?
That's very
That's
true.
all. You know?
That's very true.
We
Yeah.
gotta be equal people here to the squirrels. Squirrels bad rap. You know what I mean? That's why, like, mice, rats. People don't like them because they come to your house. Those are rodents. Those are criminals. I don't like them dudes. Rat on the
Well,
street
I
in New
just
York,
want to
I
make
leave that
sure.
dude alone.
Yeah, I just want to make sure people don't fall into the trap of thinking that squirrels are cute because they don't normally come to your house. Because them bitches will come to your
That's
house.
fair. I'll give you
Don't
that.
get that twisted. They absolutely will. I haven't heard of any chipmunks doing it. I don't know if they are even considered rodents or whatever, but I know that they are around. But squirrels will for sure, and they're extremely territorial. So once they get to your house, they're like mine,
You not
and you're like,
that
no,
that just sounds like ambition to me. I like these squirrels. Now I mean they out there
nah,
buying real
okay,
estate.
all right,
They try to move up in the world. I'm gonna do business with squirrels now. They sound like great
okay.
people. You know, I haven't heard
Yeah, all right.
anything.
We'll see how that goes. They are still rats, though.
Now listen,
So, I mean, double check them contracts is all I'm saying.
rats with property. You know what I mean? I'm with this.
Yeah.
I like these rodents. Tanya Roberts. Uh,
Okay.
this is
Right.
I believe one of the artists you added. Tanya Roberts,
I
Bond
added.
girl, and the 70s
Yeah.
star has died. I
Well,
talk to me.
l- ah, ah, okay. So Tanya Roberts, who is known as a Bond girl, she also was one of Charlie's Angels on the television show. And she was on that '70s show. She was
Yeah,
Donna's mother.
that's how I know her. Donna's mom.
Yeah.
She was the hot
So,
mom.
yes, the hot mom. So it was reported that she had died, that she had collapsed and was taken to the hospital, and her rep had a story about seeing, being in the hospital with her and seeing the light fade from her eyes or something, and just being like she's dead, and then announcing that she's dead. Turns out she was not dead. She's still in the hospital and still ill, but did not die. And the rep was just like, "Oh, my bad."
What?
I could have sworn she was dead when I saw her last. What?
Yo.
Uh, so
Yo.
this is just, I mean, I certainly don't want to, I hope that Tanya Roberts pulls through. And if she doesn't, I hope it's a peaceful transition. But maybe wait for a call from someone from the hospital to let you know that someone has passed away before going to the internet.
Big facts.
Like, and saying,
Wow.
"Oh yeah, no, she's dead. Let me call up TMZ. She's definitely dead." And then the next day it was like, "No, she's not dead." So, yeah, that's just, to me, that's
Wow.
wild. That's wild. And just the rush to be the first is not great. Like,
You know what's crazy? That dude's still gonna demand 10%. You know what I mean? You ain't get that right and you still want my check, my G? Nah.
Yeah, that's not right.
Tanya,
Mm-mm.
Shalewa said, if you pass away, we wish you the best. We hope you have a smooth transition. If you are still alive, I hope you smoothly transition to new representation. Because
Yes,
that is
absolutely.
terrible. Yo, the nerve.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I know.
Like, I'm with, like, listen, like, we in the business. If somebody on my team genuinely try and gets it wrong, I'm with it. Except for this one time, you got to get my death right. Like I'm alive. I think you should be able to tell. Like if I'm good money, that's just grimy. Yeah, fire that dude.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if by the time this airs, she has passed away,
Word.
we will miss you, Tanya. The confusion is a horrible situation, but for everyone else, let's maybe let this be a call to like, um, let's wait for authorities to say something.
Yeah, you know what Tanya. Tanya's rep. Tanya is cool. You know what I mean? What's happening to her is sad, but her rep. You can learn a lot from MF Doom. You know what I mean? He passed away.
Yes.
Major condolences. They waited 2 months to announce that shit. Like they made sure things was closed. His family was in a good place. You know what I mean?
Right.
They would find what was going on. Then it got brought out. That's how you handle things in a delicate matter. Not like this. You don't jump the gun.
I feel like, especially now, when there's been so much death over the past few months, and not really a way to properly grieve. Like we overall, as a people, we have not properly grieved the amount of death that has happened over the past 10, 11 months or whatever.
Yeah.
So that is something. So I actually very much admire how MF Doom's family was just like, we'll let y'all know when and if we feel like it. You know what I mean? Because we have to process that shit. But to rush to be first to announce it or whatever is just kind of like, yikes. And I mean, this has happened before with other like celebrities I've seen where, you're not sure if they died, you're getting conflicting reports and you're just waiting to hear. But like, for the person to have just this flowery language when talking to TMZ about it and then that not be the case is just kind of messed up.
Yeah, especially so, from a rep. Like if that's someone that like I worked with, like there should be, if anything, like the instinct should be to preserve the person and their family's integrity and their needs. That's literally your gig. You know what I mean? So super disappointed there. But good luck to Tanya and her fam. I hope that everything works out well for them. And as I mentioned, R.I.P. to MF Doom, and good luck to his fam and everything they're going through right now. But I thought they handled it beautifully. And what was real dope is the MF Doom stuff got announced 2 months later. It didn't change how his fans grieved.
Right, exactly.
Like we still got our time as an audience to like appreciate and go through that, but it gave his family enough time to do that separately, in their own way and whatever they needed to do to go through that. So the audience can still do that. You don't need to rush to jump the gun to be first to announce those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a life to be celebrated, it will be celebrated. And I didn't see anyone getting online and saying anything about Doom's widow for announcing it 2 months. Like I didn't see anyone go, "How dare you?"
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not our call. Who are we?
Right.
How dare you? Let her do what she needs. Let them do what needs to be done.
Exactly.
And so yeah, it was just such a wild, like within the past few days, like within the past week, such a whiplash of how to handle someone in the public eye and their death.
Yeah.
So it was just wild to me that I just figured I'd bring it up because they're talking about it on the Twitter. So
Yeah, no, people gotta learn. On an up note, Boston Red Sox just hired Bianca Smith, the first Black woman to coach in professional baseball history. That's right, folks. The Boston Red Sox have hired Bianca Smith to be the first Black woman coach in history. She'll be working as the club's player development facility at Fort Myers in Florida. She'll be a minor league coach. So one of the AAA teams, professional that feeds their players directly to the Boston Red Sox. Huge news for several reasons. her being the first black woman coach, significant in baseball, which is a sport that is all cerebral, strategically based in terms of what they brand. So being a woman shouldn't inhibit you, yet somehow we don't see more of it. So it's beautiful to finally see progress there. Second, what I think is super notable here is that it's Boston doing it. Boston in general has a rep for being very racial. I actually was just talking about this yesterday. Everyone talks about like Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in 1947. And like when you see the movies, everybody just assumes like in 1948, like everybody was just like, "Oh, cool, bringing all the niggas now, we good." You know what I mean? And it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Baseball was still very racist the next year. So much so that he broke the barrier in 47, won Rookie of the Year. Boston was the last team to segregate, and they didn't bring in their first black player. They signed him in 1959. So they went a whole 12 seasons of like seeing black athletes, Latino athletes come over, crushing their all-white team. And they were like, nah, we rather be racist and in last place. And then finally they admitted to it. So it's just good to see that their history is kind of like something that they're trying to acknowledge and take some steps in changing now with their new ownership and leadership team.
Also, and again, as I've said, I don't really follow the baseball, but the number of black players or participants, hasn't it dwindled in like the past 30 years?
Yeah, significantly so. In particular, if you're saying African American. So, right, if you say black, there's still a lot of them.
Yes. There's still a lot of black players, but I guess African American players.
African American is super light. They got called out in particular during the anniversary of Jackie Robinson's shift over in I think it was the 60 or the 70 year. I'm trying to remember now, but I think it was the 70 year for 2017. They got called out because they were retiring his number 42 from all the teams. So it was like the first number that got retired throughout baseball. The only players allowed to wear it were people that were already wearing it. So it was a huge news. It was a beautiful gesture, noble situation. By the same token, during that year, there was also less than 42 players of African American descent playing. So like they're retiring 42, and there aren't 42 African American players in the league. And keep in mind, this is the sport where like it's probably the second biggest in terms of players on their roster. After only football. So you got like 40 people on a team. And you got 30 teams. That's 1,200 people. Like somebody should be black just by accident. Like, so it was just wild. So they were showing pictures of like the celebrations of Jackie Robinson Day, and like all the teams would line up their players, and it was like a couple of them where like everyone on the field was white, so like it was just like a weird moment. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there. They're doing outreach, but it still hasn't really been shown yet in terms of direct talent on the field. But yeah, this is a step in that direction. I don't want to like ruin Bianca's moment. I think it's really dope. The players definitely need to work on it though. They have to work on bringing in more African American players into the league directly. It starts at the youth level. They haven't done a lot of outreach work.
I literally was going to say maybe that show that was on Fox about the young black girl who played baseball was before its time. Is that what it was on? Do you remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
Like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. And then there was in real life, there was a young woman who, am I making that part up? I feel like there was a young woman who did really well in like, say, the Little League World Series or something like that.
That's possible. I know there's been a few girls that have played with Little League World Series participants.
Yeah.
Usually around like high school, you'll start seeing them separate to softball, whether it's league rules or whatever. But
that's honestly when they should start.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's when they start the recruiting for boys.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a sport that like again, like they pride themselves on In the sense that they're the one thing that they mention that separates them from basketball and football is that it's supposed to be the thinking game, right? Like it's all about strategy, and that's why it's so slow because they got to make decisions. Fine, but if I'm gonna watch you think, I can watch a woman think too. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's
it
true.
just makes sense to me. Like if that's what you're flexing as what makes this the cool game, they should be allowed in those positions. Shout outs to Felipe Alo, by the way, first Dominican everyday baseball player. His entire family is like in the majors in some capacity.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
like he had two brothers start in the outfield with him, in like the '60s. Then he has four sons. Two of them played in the minors and they coach now. One of them is the current manager of the Mets. He had another son that made like 5 All-Star games, won the World Series, and is probably the most talented of the group. But even his daughter is in charge of risk management for the San Francisco Giants. So like he has 10 kids and something like 8 of them work in Major League Baseball today, boys and girls. So again, if you're out there, you want to do baseball and it's your passion, you know what I mean? Make sure these people open up doors for y'all because y'all are dope. We need to do that more. I like it. Bianca Smith, keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Congrats to you, Bianca.
And I'm pretty sure the audience, if they weren't sure, definitely knows I'm Dominican right now because I just got way too excited.
They should know because you absolutely rattled all that off in a way that I believe is, for sure. Yeah.
This is y'all have seen me struggle through these CNN articles over and over again. That was the first one. I had all the research. I was ready. I was all in here.
Yeah, I think you actually blacked out there for a moment, and I don't know if you even were fully conscious of what you were saying, but it all was correct. It was all absolutely right.
Check your wikis. I'm factual, baby. Oh man. Is Michael Keaton the new Batman? Not so fast, says CNN. Michael Keaton is taking over the Batman role, has been the rumor. According to a New York Times reported article, he will be appearing in DC films, in particular one called Batman the Flash. But while that announcement was made, it is not necessarily the case that he'll be taking over the role. He just is planned to appear in that one film, The Flash itself, where he'll be playing an older Batman. For our younger listeners that aren't aware, Michael Keaton was the OG Batman from the films. He played him in the original, and I believe in the second one as well, right? Batman Returns, before Val Kilmer.
Yeah, he
took
did.
over.
If I'm not mistaken, because I haven't actually seen any of them.
What?
Please don't shoot me. He did the first 2.
Yeah.
Of the movies. Yeah. Were they the Tim Burton ones?
Yeah, that I know that was the issue. Like for the third one, Val Kilmer took over because he wouldn't do it because Tim Burton wasn't brought back to direct it again. So yeah, he's coming back into the franchise. He's still playing Bruce Wayne, but he's gonna play an old one. So for like super fans, a lot of people were excited because this might have meant that like it was like a Batman Forever type thing or a Nightwing situation. There's like a lot of like storylines in like the comic books where there's like an old Batman and he's like overlooking a replacement Batman that's younger and he's like mentoring him because he's acknowledging that like, oh shit, I'm actually not a superhero, I'm just a dude, and like now I'm old, so like now I'm just the old dude out here fighting young criminals, and he was getting beat up, so he recruits a young dude and now he just like mentors him. He becomes essentially Alfred.
Oh, okay. So then, does he have to find a young dude whose parents were also killed?
I don't believe you. You need to be motivated. Did your parents?
Yeah, like why else? Yeah, I mean, he's got to have that same anger that the OG Batman was working with, or else you're just forming a weird little militia, a one-man militia. You gotta have like, I don't, and again, I don't quite know the stories. My knowledge of Batman kind of stopped with Adam West.
Okay.
From the show from the 60s.
I like those though. Those are classics.
Pow! Or whatever in the movie. I was like, oh, I have no interest in it. It doesn't look like a cartoon. I'm sorry, I can't do it. But Yeah, like, I guess if he's being a mentor, that's one thing, but I mean, he'd have to, like, look for an angry young man, right?
Yeah, I believe that's how the storyline works in some way.
Okay.
Like he found someone that had a valid motivation, and he ends up like recruiting him to become the new Batman. And he's like, "Yeah, I got all this equipment, but I'm just old now, so I can't be out here in these streets. So I'm gonna stay
Well, you know
in
what?
his
I'm
room."
glad that he is at least acknowledging that, he's
Yeah,
too old to be standing on top of buildings and shit.
straight up, yeah. Although I gotta say, I would sign up not for that movie, but for the movie before, where like he's still out there, but he's like old. Like I want.
What, the prequel that where he realizes he's got arthritis in his
Yeah.
knees?
Like I want to see Batman jump off a building and just rub his knee for like 2 seconds.
Like,
Like damn, like just like do a sigh every time he has to tackle somebody. Wow, man.
Yeah, I definitely wanna see a Batman movie where after each fight scene, it's him in a bathroom, like, putting icy hot on his ribs or something like that,
Oh
just
man.
bandaging himself up. Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. I feel
Slowly
like
lowering himself into a tub, like, "Ooh."
I don't know why, but I've always assumed, and I'm mad that I thought about this deeply. I always assumed that I thought about this way too much, but I swore that old Batman was the Tiger Bomb guy.
Ooh! Oh, wow.
Like that
Yeah,
just
you
seems
really
right to me. I don't know why, but like
man, well, I can't believe you took it there, but, okay, I could go there with you.
yeah.
He'd be a tiger bomb guy.
For anybody out there writing TV pilots, if you question the level of depth that I put into my character development, let y'all know right there. I think about everything, including whether you do Tiger Bomb.
I would hire you just because you thought of Tiger Bomb instead of Icy Hot. That's so funny. Tiger Bomb could use the promotion, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I bet you absolutely could get sponsored by like, that's fantastic, that's wonderful.
American Airlines, in his most anti-Karen stance, has decided to change the rules with regards to emotional support animals. That's right. American Airlines says it will no longer allow emotional support animals starting next week. The change matches a new Department of Transportation regulation that says airlines aren't required to treat emotional support animals as service animals. DOT defines a service animal as a dog trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a qualified individual with a disability. So yeah, American says on January 11th, when the new DOT rule comes into effect, they ain't playing games. Day of, it will no longer authorize new travel for animals that do not meet the definition, such as emotional support animals. Get them shits out of here, they said. You want to fly with your dog, go to Spirit. All right?
You can't. Spirit will make you pay by the pound. You can't get that dog. There's no room for that dog on Spirit.
Oh man, I love this. I'm so on board with this, yo. Have you dealt with that before?
I've been on a flight with an animal next to me, and I was like, "I don't think you're not like a medic alert dog. You're like a Pekingese or something. I'm not sure." Yeah, I've never seen you like with the jacket on.
Yeah.
The helper dog jacket. I've never seen one of your type with that kind of jacket on. So that's gonna be
I'm
very
excited for
rough
this.
for a lot of people.
Hey, they gotta
Um,
learn the deal. I was
yeah,
on a flight once where I was on I always pick the role where you gotta be the emergency person,
sure.
right? I'm a big dude, I want the leg room, I'm okay
Mm,
with the extra responsibility,
right.
right? I was
Yes.
like, that's a good trade-off. 1 in 100
Mhm.
times this plane goes down, even though I don't think the odds are that bad. I think they're actually better. But if it goes down, yeah, I'll push open this door and help people out in exchange for stretching my legs out right now.
Sure,
That
right.
sounds great. I was on a flight and the flight wouldn't take off because a lady with an emotional support dog bought the other side. So she was
Okay.
supposed to sit in in the seat in the same row with me. So like if something goes wrong, she's supposed to be the person that opens that door. And the
Right.
lady's like, listen, like you can't sit here if you have an emotional support dog. And she's like, why not? The dog will help us. And I was like, all right, right off the if that's your first argument, get her the fuck off the plane. Like that lady is not suitable to fly, let alone be in charge of people's lives. You
Yeah.
know? And like I love this so much. The one thing I enjoyed was seeing the what do you call them? Is you can't say stewardess, or is it what's the word now?
Oh, flight attendant.
Flight attendants. I want to make sure I got it right.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So like I saw the flight attendant look at this lady with this, like she didn't know what was the next response. Like it was so out there, the fact that that was like her initial instinct, that she was like, I don't know what to tell you, but I just know you can't sit here. They had to bring the captain to tell this lady you can't sit here. You know how wild that is? Like she couldn't comprehend that. Like, yo, if the plane goes down, I don't need you worrying about this
About your
puppy right
fucking
now.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you're really speaking on behalf of the dog, and did you check with the dog?
Word. The dog
Like,
won't
I
do
mean,
that
they
shit.
check with you when you sit down. Like, all right, I know you got this, and I know you know the deal, but I mean, for real though, are you willing to help people out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I need you to verbally say yes in English. Like
Dog
I've
can't
heard
do it.
this,
Yeah,
I've
in
heard
English.
this flight attendant say that. Like, no, I don't need you to just shake your head. I need you to say it out loud. This is a verbal contract.
Word.
So, I mean, like, she can't speak for the dog.
That's it. That should have been game over. But you know what? That flight attendant was too thrown off by her instincts, by her initials. She's like, I don't know how to fight
I
this
mean, that
anymore.
is nuts. That is kind of wild to just be like, the dog will help us. No, are we all going to get to hug the dog on our way down the slide? Like, how does this dog help?
She believed in the heart of hearts. She was like, nah, the dog's part of the solution right here. I seen this dog turn knobs. Now make it open that door handle.
Yeah. Oh my God.
American Airlines, visionary airport right there. Now, I mean, buy up all they stock right now just because of that one decision. Adobe Flash player is officially dead. For those of y'all that grew up and watched this like really weird and terrible app push forward websites, this is a sad day for us. Adobe has killed off the Flash player, the buggy, hated, security vulnerability of web browser plugin that was once widely used for viewing rich content like games and videos and other media online. It got shut down this week. It was still useful. A lot of people really enjoyed using it. A lot of people hated it. Its first like major proponent was actually Steve Jobs. In 2010, he penned a scathing open letter about the software, saying that iPhones and iPads would never support Flash, and he held to that. And that was only after a whole bunch of iPhone users were complaining because a whole bunch of websites weren't working on their phone, because at the time Flash was still pretty widely used. But yeah, it's time. Adobe has given up support for it and it officially announced it this week. Do you remember when Flash came out? Like, it was a big deal for you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it being a thing, and I don't know if I realized that how big a deal it was, because computers in general were a big deal.
Right.
So it's just like, oh, okay, I guess we use Flash to be able to watch this thing, and it hasn't started. I got to click the Flash player to let it work, and Flash crashed, so I guess I got to wait for that to come up so that all these damn ads and videos can come back up again, so I can, watch this hamster turn around or whatever. And so yeah, but I mean, I don't know exactly how sad I am to see it go, because it's been phased out fairly thoroughly. But it's wild that this was announced, because just last week I was looking up these games I used to play online. And they were Flash-based games, and they were very beautiful. They were made by this artist. I forget the artist name, but I think the name of the site was Orasol or something like that. And they were very, like, almost minimalist type games, but they were Flash-based games, where, like, your goal might be to catch apples as they're falling from a tree and you're just moving the basket over it, that kind of thing. But it had like really cool music playing in the background, kind of uh like a little hip kind of new age type music, and the art was very beautiful and kind of Japanese inspired. And so I was like, hey, I wonder whatever happened in those games. And I looked them up and I'm like, oh, they were all Flash based. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I wonder if they ever made the transition to like iPhones. And a few of them did. A few of the games did, but there were a bunch of them. And so just last week I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna miss you guys, even though I hadn't looked you up in a minute. But I'm gonna miss you. And
Yeah.
then this week it's just like, yeah, fuck a Flash. And I'm like, oh goodness. Well, I'm glad I got to say goodbye to those games while I
Yeah,
could.
right? Yeah, it matters. I vividly remember when Cannabis was first starting to pop off as a rapper, and he was still cool at the time, and people hadn't really like they only heard the like aggressive diss tracks, but they hadn't like really noticed that he was just way too into computers to really be like a successful gangster rapper, right? Like Cannabis would say some like ultra aggressive shit and then talk about like hacking a website in the same song, but you wouldn't care because he said some really cool shit before that,
Right.
But yeah, I knew Cannabis was weird because every time his album came out, he would update his website to do crazy shit on Flash that nobody's computer could upload, because it was like Flash works really well today worked really well the second like high speed internet came out,
right?
But Flash was out before that, so like Cannabis had this really crazy Flash website. I'm on 56K.
Right. So
like
it's like,
that
what
shit, it just did. I never saw the site. I was like, yo, like I don't know what you want me uploading or downloading, but I can't see it. I'm sure it's beautiful. He won awards for it, but I don't even like 4 people that ever got to fully load the site. And it was frustrating because he would be like, yo, I got freestyles, exclusive songs. All you gotta do is click on this button. Button never appeared. Never got to see any of that shit. You know what I mean? I was trying to be a fan, Cannabis, but you got in my way. That's what happens. You lost the LL because your fans couldn't support you because they couldn't get to your site. Yeah.
Too far ahead. At some point, you got to reach your hand back and grab us. But man, you rushing ahead with this stuff, and we just like, hey, I got to wait for my mom to get off the phone before I can even.
I had a 56K, and people would come to my house like, "Oh, word, you got 56? Word, my G, crazy."
Oh my god!
So rest in peace, Adobe Flash. You know what I mean? He was much appreciated in those days. Proud Boys leader arrested for allegedly burning Black Lives Matter banner at a DC church. That's just reckless. Jesus Christ. The leader of the Proud Boys, Henry Enrique. Come on, why gotta be one of my people? Tario.
Come on. Anyone can be proud, Gastor.
I'm not proud. I'm hoping the Enrique is just like a nickname. It's in quotes. So I'm hoping maybe it's like a funny thing of like he's not really Spanish, but I don't know, Sha. I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google this picture later.
Yeah, but, that's weird.
That hurt. That hurt a little bit. Enrique was arrested on Monday in DC for allegedly burning a Black Lives Matter banner in a black church last month during protest in the city after the Stop the Steal rally. Man, it's just wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. A law enforcement official told CNN that the DC Metro Police charged Tario of Miami. He looking more and more Spanish by the like sentence.
Yeah, it's not looking good for you.
Yeah. With destruction of property related to a banner that was burned on December 12th outside of the church in Northwest DC. DC Metro Police Department Public Information Officer Sean Hickman, clearly know he's white, separately told CNN that Tario was charged.
Wait, is it Sean Sean?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Okay, carry on.
It's a lock right there. That's cool. I need that info while reading these.
Right.
With being in possession of firearm magazines. He was charged with destruction of property related to an offense that occurred on Saturday, December 12th, 2020, in the 900 block of 11th Street Northwest. At the time of his arrest, he was found to be in possession of 2 high-capacity firearm magazines. He was additionally charged with possession of high-capacity feeding devices. Yeah, this is just completely stupid.
Yo, wow. I just, what do we got? The gatherings, it's wild, the difference between, do you know what I mean? A peaceful gathering and the Proud Boys, whose whole point was to be gathered up to start shit. Like, the whole point of the Proud Boys was just to go around and smack people. Like, and again, you don't want to fact check me on that. That's just a feeling I have in my soul. But I feel like that was part of it, was that their whole thing was just like being violent. And it's just like, what are you being violent for, you little pipsqueaks? And, it's just, it's really upsetting, but it's not surprising. And I don't know where we go from here, because it just seems like the lines are being drawn and are deepening. And really, they're not being drawn. They're just being traced over from other lines that have been here forever. So it's just super upsetting. And it's just like, why would you? I believe there were some, maybe at that particular Proud Boys protest, where they started yelling at the cops, and the cops were just like, hey man, y'all got to shut that down or whatever. And they seemed surprised. And I'm like, yeah, I get why, because, half of y'all are cops. Half of the Proud Boys are cops. Half of the cops are Proud Boys, whatever. So to actually run afoul of the cops was like new for them. They're definitely feeling emboldened because of how it was been looking for the past few months. But like, just, it's so upsetting and tiring. It's upsetting and tiring. And I don't know how. I'm not entirely sure how to stop it.
Yeah,
how do you stop it or slow it down?
I'm stumped. Tario actually took credit for it too. He was during the War Boys podcast. I'm assuming that's related, or at the very least a Proud Boy sponsored podcast.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, he praised himself. He said the person that went ahead and put the lighter to it and engulfed it in flames, and I'm damn proud I did it. Yeah, he's pretty hyped to be a hateful dude.
That's hence the Proud, I guess.
Man.
Yeah, it's so, look, I'm not someone who's full of love and light. All right, so but I also don't understand necessarily that kind of hate. I only save like that kind of level of hate for, like, particular celebrities or something.
Yeah, you got
you know what I mean? But I'm certainly not going to go and burn a banner because I don't like Miley Cyrus. So what do we do? What do we do? Like, this is these extremes. It's so it's very upsetting.
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel like I can't. I don't even think I could get. I could get really mad at somebody for a thing they did, but I can't. It's hard for me to stay like angry to the point to where I'm hateful. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten really mad at like at McDonald's when like they put pickles and I say no pickles, but I still go back to McDonald's.
Yeah.
I believe in them dudes overall. Like, I want them to be good, but they fuck that shit up all the time. And I'm still not hating on them. They cool. They so I don't get like what causes hate to that point. Like, I don't know what happens.
I understand there's a mob mentality part of it too. So you're all together, you're all roughly believing the same thing, and then the more extreme factions are speaking up loudly, and you get wrapped up in it, and next thing you know, you've got a torch and you're burning something, and you don't even know exactly maybe how it happened.
True.
But it happened by you going there in the first place is how it happened. So mob mentality, mob rule, all of that kind of stuff. But I don't trust mobs because of that. Even if they're mobs that I am like, I agree with most of your message. And still at some point I'm going to be like, I do, but I'm not going to get trapped on a bridge, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not Yikes. I'm a scaredy cat. I'm a scaredy cat. And by being a scaredy cat, I'm able to voice my support while also being at home.
That's right.
Or elsewhere where I'm just like, my feet hurt. I'm not it's cold. Um and so that's who I'm worried about. Who are the Proud Boys that stayed home? Because I want them all out in the street, and then I want them all rounded up. And then
For
see, that's my
real.
hate speaking. But then, I want them to. I don't know what I want to be done to them. I don't know. It's not confusing. They're horrible people, and I want them to stop. I just want it to stop altogether. I'm so tired.
Yeah. That's
It's
it.
exhausting. Oh, I have some bad news. Breaking bad news.
Uh-oh.
Tanya Roberts did pass away.
Oh no.
I know. That is breaking bad news. That's a shame.
That hurt right there. That hurt.
Yeah, I know. We were actually very close to her for the past like 20 minutes. For the past 25 minutes, we've been like,
I
that's
was
our
hopeful.
girl.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I'm with this right here. I hope she makes it out. I really wanted her to get to fire the agent. Like, I really was
Yeah,
like
exactly. I
hopeful.
wanted her to make it so that she could be like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, yo, like we docking you pay us something just for a
Yeah.
year.
Well, I mean, I guess she's just gonna have to haunt him because that's definitely unfinished business.
Seriously. R.I.P. Tanya.
RP. Be easy. Be easy,
safe
Tanya.
out there. No mobs unless you from Queensbridge or from Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Goody mob, Mob Deep, y'all cool in my book. Rest of
Right.
the mobs, no mobs allowed.
Right.
A man who stole a sword from a historical statue as a college prank finally returns it 40 years later. That's right. A sword. I'm so happy that this is a CNN article, by the way. A sword taken from a historical monument in Westfield, Massachusetts, has been returned by a man who took it as part of a college prank 40 years ago. Cindy Gaylord, the head of Westfield's Historical Commission, received a phone call 3 weeks ago before Christmas from a man saying, hey, some of historical significance, I got that. To the city. When I asked if he could tell me about it, it's the sword from the General William Shepard statue. I remember in the very early 1980s, it was reported that it was taken and it was written off as a college prank. The bronze statue of General William Shepard is located in a park in the center of Westfield, a small town in western Massachusetts. Born in Westfield in 1737, Shepard entered the Continental Army as a lieutenant colonel in 1775 and served throughout the Revolutionary War.
Yeah. Look here. This man's been sitting on this sword for 40 years.
Uh-huh.
Can you imagine how good life must be if that's the thing if that's the guilt that's been eating away at you? How charmed is his life that the only thing that's bothered him and kept him up at night is something he did as a prank in college? Man, is he okay? Does it say what was wrong with that dude? Is he sick or something?
What's happening with him, right? I believe it was supposed to be like he's a war vet too. Like so that was part of like the guilt. Like he like served and he also took away like this like dude's thing and he served, you know what I mean? The sword got replaced and it got welded onto the statue like, y'all can't do this twice.
Also, yeah, that's another thing. I was just because until you said it was bronze, I was just picturing stone,
right?
And I was like, did this man just chisel the sword out of like who? What do you want a stone version of a sword for? That's just a big rock stick or something. But anyway, that's wild. That he brought it back and because it's been eating away at him, like it's like Edgar Allan Poe's telltale heart that's under the floorboard. It's just a sword that's been just like, take me back. That's wild.
It is long overdue. Is being returned. Major props to this dude for finally like clearing his conscience of this one thing. a little sad that he just didn't eBay this. I think he could have made some bread.
He could have made some money.
Yeah.
He could have made some
Like low
money if
key.
he just said he found it. But you know what? If he felt that guilty, there's no way he was going to be able to fucking enjoy the money.
Fair. What's the statute of limitations on stealing from statues? Nobody's thinking about statue rights. You know what I mean? What did that poor statue?
That's true.
It's the only thing he owns is his sword. He took that shit. Oh my goodness.
That's very true. Statues definitely could use a lobbyist.
Yeah. Put that out there, you know what I mean? For all the statues out there getting jacked.
Oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. Oh. Yeah, and actually that's something they definitely should talk about since so many statues are.
Yeah.
Also, this guy's bringing shit back. We're tearing statues down and this dude's bringing shit back. He read the news wrong.
But yeah,
we are turning things into art installations by tearing things up and painting over them. And this dude wants to bring back the OG sword.
Only reason it should be taken back is if like you need that sword to take down the other statues. You know what I mean? Like, is that the Infinity Stone of the statues?
Oh, right. Yes, exactly.
Then I'm down. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Let's bring it in.
Yeah. If it finishes out a set or something. It was like the one ring to bind us or whatever. Yeah, go on. I mean, take that shit out of Mordor or whatever you got to do. But like, it's kind of the opposite of what's going on. But I mean, you know, you played your.
Hey, counter thinking. I'm with that right there. Be counterculture all you want, homie. Alex Trebek's touching message starts off his final shows. As a lot of us know, Alex Trebek died in November at the age of 80. This week, Jeopardy started airing the final set of episodes that he got to host before passing away. They were initially scheduled for the week of Christmas, but they got pushed back out of respect. And despite what was going on, he was still thinking of the people. In his final message prior to the show's kickoff, he started off by saying that now today I have a different message. This is the season of giving. I know you want to be generous with your family, your friends, your loved ones. But today, I'd like to go one step further. I'd like you to open up your hands and open up your hearts to those who are still suffering because of COVID-19. People who are suffering through no fault of their own. We're trying to build a gentler, kinder society. And if we all pitch in just a little bit, we're going to get there. Alex Trebek. Beautiful sentiment, man. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
You gotta love it.
I wondered when they were going to air those. I don't watch Jeopardy on the regular, but I hadn't heard that his last ones were starting to be aired or what his goodbye message would be and that kind of thing. Because I knew he had taped them hella early.
Right.
But what a good dude. Mm-hmm. From what we understand anyway.
Yeah. There's no weird Alex Trebek stories that have come out, thankfully. I'm really happy. No. He seems to be a stand-up dude, and even in a moment like that, like, you know, he's clearly like up there in age. He has to know, like, yo, like I'm not exactly in my prime, and he takes that time to still like kick a message for the people. I watched this when it aired on Monday, and my kids are huge Jeopardy kids, so like they watch it all the time. So like, I rarely watch Jeopardy. They watch it a lot. And I sat down to watch it because I knew the dynamic. Now I was like, oh, wow. So I'm sitting with them, and like I'm getting emotional watching Jeopardy because I heard that. And they're like, Dad, you know, it's just like a game. Like, you know, this is in a movie. Because they're 11 and 12. Like, they're not up on like the latest Alex Trebek news in the streets.
Sure,
they don't read those blogs. Right. So they just know, like, hey, the show's on. And Dad started crying. I was like, yo, Pops, it's okay, you know. It's just a game. We can change it if you want. But I had to explain to them the dynamics, and they felt a little sorry, but not as much as I
would have told you just to not say anything, and then at the end of the week, when they probably put up a thing that's like Alex Trebek is no longer with us, they could feel like real cads for laughing at you for crying. And then that would have been a teachable moment. But you know what? I'm not a good parent. I'm not a good parent. So I'm probably not,
Oh man,
you know, the person that you'd want
I'm gonna
to.
keep that in the pocket for the next time this opportunity comes
Yeah,
up, though.
yeah, next time for sure.
Three missions prepare to explore Mars and other space news is expected in 2021. That's right. It's time to go deeper into space. While 2020 may have derailed and delayed some scientific plans due to the pandemic, 2021 still promises to be a year of science, the likes of which we've rarely seen, according to Thomas Zurbuchen, the Associate Administrator of NASA's Science Mission Directorate. They have multiple missions set to explore Mars. New telescopes will begin observations, and plans are underway to return humans to the moon by 2024. That's right, y'all. We out here in these streets, all up in space. Nothing stopping us, baby. We out here.
We ain't going to Mars. We ain't going to Mars. They're just trying to figure out escape routes.
Yo,
we're not going.
We going to the moon though, Sha. That's cool.
We going to the moon? We going
we
back
going
to the moon?
back
Do
to
you
the
think we
moon.
were there the first time?
You don't? I think we were, Sha.
I mean, we probably were. It seems, I mean, it smacks of us to show up and then put our flag on it. Like, that feels like a USA type of thing to do. I mean, why not, you know? I think it's wild that, you know, we've had such a hard time kind of getting back there.
Yeah.
I feel like with how quickly technology has moved just in, say, the past 40 years, right. It's wild to me that there's not a Holiday Inn on the moon by now. Like, I really feel like we should
be out there all the time.
Yeah, I feel like we should have figured that out by now, considering how quickly we were getting everything done here on Earth.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that we probably would have figured out. But I mean,
fair.
Mars, I want us to just kind of leave Mars alone a little bit. I feel like we're neighbors and we just keep looking over our fence at them and throwing shit in their yard and trying to get them to bring our football back or whatever. Like, there's just a bunch of frisbees on Mars's roof that we keep throwing, and they're ignoring us for good reason.
That's fair.
And I feel like we should just leave them alone for a hot second, because we're the Dennis the Menace of the block right now.
Yeah, you know, just because they don't like bring you like a apple pie doesn't mean they bad neighbors. They just don't. They not those type of neighbors. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Go fuck with Venus.
I feel like
you know what I mean? There's other planets.
Yeah. I feel like we should just chill for a minute, because right now every other planet's talking about us. I really feel like they really are just like, ugh, those guys. Again. So you know what I mean? We've got our spaceship is on blocks right now in the yard. And I feel like we should just chill for a minute and let's take care of what's going on in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because when you drive by our planet, it smells funny. So like, maybe we should just get our shit together for a hot second before we go messing around with our neighbors. That's just,
y'all can see the planets.
You
can imagine the planets talking shit. Like Mars be like, how you 3/4 water and you still dirty? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You nothing but water. You got all you need. Oh my goodness.
Oh, boy.
Hey, I feel like what would you bring to the moon if you got to go out there?
If we got to go to the moon, I feel, oh my goodness, what would I take to the moon?
Like,
I don't know if I need to be leaving shit on the moon. I mean, I guess I would. You know what I mean? No, the moon don't want my shit.
Yeah, like
I wouldn't mind a little bit of its dirt, maybe.
Okay.
Just like a little breaking part. I would take off a little part of it just to put in a jar and bring back, so that I could use that to power crystals. Because they say to power up your crystals, you got to put it under a full moon. But what if I brought some of the moon back?
Okay.
And then, you know, you could chop that down into little baggies, and then I just got a dime bag of moon to like power up your little rose quartz or whatever.
I like where you at right now, Sha.
Yeah, I thought you would. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Just
like,
realize as I'm talking, oh no, this is a
yeah,
business.
this is a good idea right here. We can flip this shot. You know, we about to pay for all our specials. We good.
Yeah. So then I guess I would just need a brick of moon and then we just flip that, I guess.
Oh
So just give
man.
me just let me have a kilo of moon and then, we'll do that
Oh man.
for Chris up.
I love that. I love that. I feel like if I would never make it to the moon because, like, I feel like when NASA interviews me about what I would want to bring, it would be like really unhelpful things that I'm like really adamant about bringing. You know, like, yo, what you taking with you? Like, oh, I got the new Conway album. You know, I really want to bring that CD to the moon. You know what I mean? I feel like if I meet a Martian, I want to tell him about the machine and his album.
Mhm.
You know, I feel like if I just like I tell them about how like y'all had the flag and I want to leave a Timberland boot, you know, for Brooklyn. You
Sure.
know, I feel
Right.
like they're gonna
Right.
look at me
Right.
funny. They're gonna judge me. And they're gonna be like, yo, we don't know about this guy making this flight, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Also, you're a tall fella, so they'd probably have to build the rocket around you.
Yeah, this is fair.
'Cause I don't think they've had anyone tall. I don't think they've sent tall people up
Nah.
there. I think when you come back, you're shorter, right?
Really? Is that a thing?
I think, listeners, let us know if that's a thing. Because I feel like when you come back, you lose an inch
Yo,
or 2. Yeah, I think you come back a little bit
I
shorter.
def can't do that. I took like a lot of food to get to 6 feet tall. I can't be doing that. I'm
No, you
I'm
can't
proud
do
of
it.
my height. I can't be out here,
Oh god, you come back 5, 10
you
and a half,
know? Oh my
furious.
goodness. I have fit. I mean, size 9 sneakers all of a sudden now. Nah, can't be out here with that. I'm a size
Yeah,
11. I,
no.
I could get all of my kicks because all the sneakerheads are
Mhm.
size 9s to 10 and a halves.
Yeah,
I'm just out of reach of that. I get mad when I hear
right.
about people putting socks so they can wear their latest kicks, buying up my sizes. So I'm gonna go up to the moon, pay all this extra money for this flight, come back, and now I can't get my Jordans. Nah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. So, I mean, definitely, look that up. Right now, I'm trying to picture, just any astronaut, and I keep thinking of someone, but I think he's actually an ice skater. So well, I'm like, "He's short, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, but he's not an astronaut. He's just short." Um So yeah, but in my heart, I believe with all of the faulty news that I have taken in and internalized, I believe you lose an inch or
There
two
we go.
when you come back from space.
Well,
So
listen, we don't got any like science publications, you know, supporting our show right now. So we're gonna put all these crazy theories out there. You know what I mean? You
absolutely,
send us a check,
yeah,
then we will start fact checking
we
all
will,
this
we
shit.
will, yeah, we will correct all of this. But until then, all of this flies. This
It's
is
out
all
there.
legit.
Justin Combs, jet skiing after dark. That's right. Justin Combs just wanted to party, but he didn't obey Miami's rules of the water. So instead, he ended up getting ticketed and towed away from the party. Bad form. Miami Beach PD tells TMZ, we already knew that from the beginning of the article, it was TMZ.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
Diddy's son got busted for operating a jet ski more than 30 minutes after sunset on Monday night. And to make matters worse, we're told neither he nor his 2 passengers riding with him were wearing life jackets. Both things are against the law. So police tell us Justin was issued multiple citations, and the Miami Beach PD Marine Patrol towed him back to land to ensure his safety. We're told this went down at around 8 p.m. And the witness on the scene tells us Justin was on the jet ski with 2 women heading to a yacht
Mhm.
off Star Island to hang out. Yeah, this just sound like a whole bunch of haters. You know what I mean?
What?
Justin is living. Hey, yo, you can't. You gave me a ticket because I'm out half hour after dark. That's like giving me a speeding ticket because I'm going 70 in a 65. All right, stop hating because y'all. The second they saw this dude out, they could have just waved him in like, yo, my man, it's half hour after curfew. You know what I mean? You mind parking that? But nah, they had to make it a thing, give him a ticket, especially once they saw his ID. Oh, you Combs? Oh, you about to get
Well,
$900 million.
I imagine it was probably, especially after they saw no one had any life jackets on.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah, like you're gonna be out in the dark and you're not gonna have a life jacket on. I mean, just find another way. Find another way to get a fancy blowjob from two ladies. Oh, why has it got to be death defying on a boat? Also, ladies, you don't have to get on a boat to blow Justin. I mean, I don't know Justin, but I'm willing to bet you don't have to get on a boat to do it.
But I feel like this is like I would imagine this is like the rich person's version of like choking. You know what I mean? You know how like choking took over the sex streets the last decade?
Yeah,
this is like choking for rich people. Like, yo, I only get head on fucking speedboats in the water in Miami after hours with no lifeboats. You know, that's got to do something for the adrenaline. You know what I mean? Oxygen cut off. Everything's crazy. You might crash. You might drown. You know what I mean? You might not inherit those Puff Daddy millions. Those take that money. You know what I mean? It's all gone.
Well, I'll tell you what. I imagine Justin already has a taste for danger because Diddy had a restaurant called Justin's in Atlanta, and I went, and it was everyone in there was black. Everyone in there was black. Staff, all of the customers.
Yeah.
Everyone except the dude that I went with. We were all and it was the saltiest meal I've ever had.
Really?
And the fruit punch or whatever was the sweetest thing. And I eat sugar out of the bag. It was the sweetest drink I've ever had. And I was like, this nigga's trying to kill us. Like, there's no way you can't eat this. Like, why is there salt in my napkin? It was the saltiest thing and the sweetest thing I've ever had. And so I think Justin just has a taste for danger in general.
Hey.
So he likes living on the edge. He likes living on the edge of hypertension. He likes living on the edge of diabetes. He likes living on the edge of, sailing, I guess.
I ain't mad at it right there. You know, I never got the chance to go to Justin's. To me, I thought Justin's was the place you went to get shot. Like, I didn't even know he served food there. Every time I heard Justin's, it was because a rapper was in an altercation. Like, someone I loved, like, and admired was at Justin's. Like, to me, like, growing up, I was like, why people keep going here? I never heard anybody be like, yo, I went to Justin's, catfish, crazy. Nobody talked about the food. Not one person mentioned that shit. Everybody told me about the violence.
No one was talking about the food because it was so salty. All the moisture left them. That's probably why they were fighting. It was all just a bunch of dehydrated people trying to get to one of the young men selling water in the streets. Like, so that's funny. But yeah, no, it was a restaurant. Now, they would do things where, occasionally they have DJs come in.
Right.
Or they'd have like little parties or whatever. But for the most part, it was, at least in the time that I went, kind of, not even early on. It'd been open a couple of years by then. It was like a restaurant. They were open for a while. But yeah, maybe it did kind of seem like rappers were always fighting at Justin's. I don't know.
That's all I heard. Like, to me, it was just stuff that, like, it sounded cool, like, in a movie, but none of it sounded like it was based around food. They'd be like, yo, you heard? Like, Puff, like, Shine and DMX was battling at Justin's. Like, why? Like, it's a restaurant, ain't it? Like, why ain't they just recording the album? You know what I mean? Yo, I heard Sebastian Telfair was at Justin's. He got robbed. Why is he out? He should be playing basketball. Like, why is he at this restaurant where everybody keep getting jacked at? It never made sense to me, Shot. And it was never reviewed. I never saw people like, yo, I heard they got this great chef at Justin's. Not once. Yeah. Not one time. I don't remember a single article referencing the food. It was just Justin's. That's where you go.
I think the chef at Justin's was just that little girl on the salt container in the raincoat and the umbrella. I think that's who the chef was. Everything just tasted like sodium, not just salt, sodium. Everything. Oh, Lord. Oh man. So anyway, Justin, put on a fucking life jacket.
Nah, I want to see you take it up a notch, Justin. Okay, I'm on your side here. I want you to put a jet ski on top of the jet ski. Take 4 women next time. You know what I mean? Whatever you need to do to get your thrills. I don't kink shame. Okay, you get out there. You do what you got to do on that jet ski after hours life. Whatever it is. You know what I mean? Find your glory. Find your happiness, Justin.
Oh Lord.
Tyrese's estranged wife filed for divorce more than 3 months before he announced their split, and she claims he changed the locks at their home. Something Tyrese denies. That's right. Samantha Lee Gibson filed for divorce back in September, and in the petition, she alleges Tyrese had just a few weeks earlier cut her off financially and locked her and their 2-year-old daughter out of the family's Georgia home. Tyrese is calling BS though. I love TMZ. They don't care at all about this being. they use words I would use though, so I ain't mad at this at all. In Doc's file, he denies leaving them out in the cold. On the other hand, he admits having major issues with Samantha's demand for $20,000 per month in child support. He calls that number unreasonably high. I bring this up. I feel like, listen, I don't know Tyrese's money situation, but I never got the impression he was broke.
Okay.
You know, so I don't know what the number is that is right for Tyrese, but I felt this didn't feel outlandish. Like, am I normally, like, you know, like as a dude, I hear you. I'm trying to be understanding of like the pro guy side of this in terms of like, yo, women athletes be. This don't sound that crazy, my G. Like you know, you in every single Fast and Furious movie. When Dre became a billionaire, he ain't even say it. You said it for him. You know what I mean? So you got rich ass friends. I feel like 20 G's a month ain't crazy money. You know what I mean? Not for Tyrese. I think it's crazy. Like, you come ask me for 20 G's? That's crazy. I agree. Asking Tyrese for 20 G's seems like that's about what it should cost to raise your kid. I feel like my issue is, like, I think the two extremes are wrong with this. Like, I think there are definitely, like, some child support situations like, all right, it don't take $250,000 a month to raise his baby. You know, I understand that, like, you know, that person might be well off, and raising your kid should have a lot of those privileges. They don't need that much money to do all of that. With that said, you know, a lot of guys advocate for this being grimy. They don't talk about the mans in them where, like, child support is $150 a month. Like, that ain't shit. I feel like every child support case should start off with a minimum, but there should also be like a cap. Like, everyone over, like, if you make over $5 million a year, child support can't be over $250,000, because after that's just crazy. Like, if you need more than $250,000 a month for me to support my kid, that's unreasonable. That's already an insane number. But if you're like making that kind of money, I get it. Your kid should live privileged. But in turn, the bottom should be forced to give a certain amount. Like, I got kids. At bare minimum, you need like $2,000 a kid every month, like, give or take. Okay. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, if you have a kid and you split and you got to pay child support, that's your job to figure that out. But you got to give 2 G's. You know what I mean? So, like, figure that out. Like, yo, listen, you a man, you have a baby. I don't care how, but I need 2 G's on the first. You know what I mean? Because I kids eat, like, you got to figure, like, on the low end, you give a kid PB and J, 3 meals a day with milk. That kid's going to hate you, but he's alive. You know what I mean? That's already $5 a day in food. That's like bare bones. He's not eating nothing. You got to figure out like a multivitamin or something, but he's eating. You know what I mean? But that's already $450 every month on just food. You know what I mean? Like, it's $150 in food right there. So, like, bare minimum, your kid is eating that. You know what I mean? That already took away the whole budget. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't talking about clothes, you ain't talking about travel. So I feel like we need you got to treat it like the NBA. You know what I mean? You got to have league minimum, but you got to have a cap.
Okay.
You know? That's what I'm saying. You got to be fair. Like, I don't care how much you dislike this lady, even though you were cool enough to smash. That's, I got issues with all that. But that kid got nothing to do with it, you know what I mean? So there should be a minimum. You got to have league minimum. Yo, this kid, and I don't know what the right number is. Maybe it's $1,000, you know what I mean? Whatever. But there should be like a minimum number that like, yo, you can't tell the court, oh, I ain't got a job. You can't tell the court I make $8 an hour. Those ain't my problems because you made this person. You know what I mean? You got to figure that out. But in turn, I agree there should be a cap. I don't know what that number is either because I ain't been that rich before. But, but I understand that there's like a number that's like, all right, we paid for private school. That dude you got a condo that I'm covering because because you're raising my son. That still don't cost more than this crazy number. But there's numbers that could be reached. I feel like the more I think about, I think 1,000 minimum a month and 50,000 cap. I think those are like reasonable numbers. If you're super rich, you should definitely give the full thing, 50 G's. That makes sense to me. And if you're raising that kid, even if you're not with the dad, 350. What is that? 50 times 12. That's $600,000.
Sure, I guess. Okay.
So that's 600 grand a year to raise this baby. I feel like even if you ain't getting like Dr. Dre money, 600 G's, you could raise a kid for that year. You can figure that out. He's going to live good.
Right.
And then in turn, the other extreme, like, yo, if you guys are struggling and then you also give her a baby, she's going to be struggling way more. You know what I mean? So like you as a dad, even if you don't like the lady that has your kid, you got to acknowledge she's raising your kid. And that comes with certain bare minimums. And like, just because you decided that the optimum career for you is working part-time at UPS, loading trucks, that ain't your baby's problem. You got to get that promo. Go drive the trucks. They get paid really well. You know what I mean? Get the health benefits. Do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But you got to send at least this. Nah.
Wow.
I'm out there.
That was extremely thorough, and I don't know enough to disagree. It all sounds good to me. And it's definitely coming from a place of knowledge and late night math.
Yeah. This is from a guy that budgeted.
Coming from putting numbers together in your sleep is what that is. And I recognize that, and that's really kind of the best way to get that work done. So everyone listening, Gastor has a financial plan for you, but he has very strong opinions on how child support should be handled. And honestly, I mean, let us know how you feel about that, because I feel like that's a great topic to like kind of talk to folks about. And like that also what you said makes perfect sense. It still takes into account so many things.
Yeah, I thought about it a lot because like I've had like people that's like, yo, I can't afford the child support payment. And like they'll tell me the number and I'm like, yo, you're like, you sending $140. Like, you know, like I hear you, like you can't afford it, but I know she can't afford to raise that kid on the $140 you sending. So that sound more like a you problem. Like you got to figure out how to make more money to help your kid. You know what I mean?
That is very true.
And then, but I also get the other end. If you're like a super rich celebrity and you have a kid and you're no longer with the baby mom, but you still have to take care of your kid should have certain perks. They should live the privileged life. Then they should have the head start that comes with being your son. But that doesn't require all of your money, but it requires some money, and that should be given. I feel like you should want the best for your kids. But there should be a cap on that so it's not abused. And I feel like 50 G's a month is an insane amount of money to raise someone, but that's enough to cover every perk that a rich kid would have. You want to send them to the best private school? Dope. You want to put them in all these clubs? You want to buy dope clothes for them? You want to put money away in a Roth IRA and in a 529 account so you can pay for college? All the things that would come with being a rich kid's son, that's enough money to do that and get himself a solid head start in life. You know what I mean? Right. Vote Gastor Almonte 2024. I don't know about the other issues, but I feel confident on this one.
Yeah. No, this is enough to run on. I absolutely believe this is enough to run on, for sure.
I'm out there, you know what I mean, advocating for the people. Because you know why? Because you know what? You know where this comes from, Shot? I'm not advocating just as a a dad that like happily and proudly spends his money on his kids. I'm
Right.
advocating on behalf of the kids. That's why I think it works. Because everybody
Yeah.
thinks
Yeah.
about the dad and the mom. I'm like, yo, forget all that. What does the kid need bare minimum to
Mhm.
succeed in life? And I know that he doesn't need, $250,000 a month. I also know he definitely needs more than $150 a month. It shouldn't be,
Right.
that little. There should be a minimum
Right.
number. Figure that out, court system. Put some pressure on the people on the low end. And on the high end, we got to figure something else out. Because it's also a little OD.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds good to
That's
me.
it.
I ain't gonna argue with
All
you.
I'm saying is, Tyrese, stop crying. 20 G's ain't a crazy number to you, my G.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Lord knows I've watched the Sweet Lady video enough to probably bankroll
Yeah.
at least, a day or two of your kid's life.
You gotta figure the Coca-Cola commercial covers at least till you're like
Right,
4.
exactly. Just watched it. I just
That's
watched.
it.
Come on, man.
You good, man. I need something positive. You know what? Next article makes me happy. Could Bobby Shmurda be getting out early? That's right, folks. We back to all hip-hop articles up in this mug. Incarcerated Brooklyn rapper Bobby Shmurda could be getting an early release, according to reports. The rapper could be getting out as early as February of this year. The rapper first went into the Bang 26. I love that they use Bang in 2016 for various charges that led to him being sentenced for up to 7 years. He got some time shaved off though, for good behavior and time served. So apparently he might be getting out as early as February 23rd, 2021. So fingers crossed, we get Bobby Shmurda back in these streets. Recently his homeboy got out, Rowdy Rebel, and he made a lot of news for the way he was celebrating. Very, very happy and joyous celebrations, but admittedly, the whole video, I was just nervous the cops was gonna raid the celebration. It looked wildly illegal in every way.
Yeah.
But it was joyous though, so I'm glad that he made it through. I hope he's settled down now. I hope somebody got him a mask. Just like little things, just like avoid problems, Rowdy, so that you and your boy Bobby could come through and come home and make some cool songs again. I want to dance. I want to do all of the joints. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely hope he gets out, and as soon as he hits outside, like the hat that he threw up comes down. That's all I want. That's all I want for Bobby Shmurda. I just want that hat that's been waiting up there for 4, 5 years. I can't believe it's been that long. He missed the whole Trump thing. Thing. I mean, he didn't miss it.
I was just say, like, low key, might that have been the power move? Like, he saw it coming. He was like, yo, I'm going to just skip this whole time frame. It's like being in jail anyway.
Yeah. I mean, might as well actually. Oh, boy. Yeah. Be careful when you're back. Yeah, for sure. Put on a mask. Definitely. You're going to need that. So that's what's happening.
Come home, Bobby
What an
Shmurda.
update. Yeah, what an update to come back to. So what's new? Well, there's death in the air. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, you know how many people must come out and be like, nah, I'm going to just stay in. You know what I mean? Let me just chill one more after y'all figure that out. I'll be back out in March.
Oh, gosh. Oh, what a ridiculous.
And then our last piece, I believe it's the article you added in, Being Dad.
Yes.
You want to cover this one?
Yes. Let me go on and talk a little bit about Being Dad. Okay. You may be able to tell by the articles that I toss in that I am on Twitter entirely too much. So this is a Twitter-based controversy and maybe redemption arc. Not sure. So there's a fella named John Roderick. He wrote a very long thread about his daughter. His daughter, who I think was 9, coming up to him saying that she was hungry. And he's like, well, all we have is a can of beans. So open that up and cook that. And so she brings the can to him and she's like, how do I open this up? And it's the kind of can without the little pull tab on it. So he's like, oh, my child she's 9 and doesn't know how to use a can opener. So he gives her the can opener and he's like, now figure that out. And so over the course of what he says is 6 hours, he has her look at the can opener and try to identify the parts and figure out how it would fit on a can, and to have her kind of figure out how to twist it to even get it open and all this other kind of shit. It took 6 hours ultimately. The way he wrote it was in this extremely, like, I don't even know the correct way to describe it, but just like, this kid, and I'm like, well, how am I getting her ready for the real world if she doesn't know how all of this stuff works, and she has to figure it out on her own. And in the meantime, I'm not going to help her with anything. I'm doing a jigsaw puzzle, and so she's just going to have to figure. My 9-year-old's going to have to figure this out. But it's written in such a style that's so over the top, that when I read it, I thought he was making fun of like a really terrible person. So I thought that he had made up this little story about a daughter, and he wrote like a lot of threads. It was an extremely long thing that he wrote on Twitter about depriving his kid of food for the 6 hours it took her to figure out how to open the can. It was very flowery in language, and just kind of ridiculous overall. So he posted this, and I think the problem is that John Roderick is a middle-aged white man. He was in an indie rock band from Seattle called The Long Winters. He co-hosts a podcast with Ken Jennings, who is the guy that who's the Jeopardy winner that they were looking at to replace Alex Trebek, who went through his own bullshit like last week as well, of having to delete old tweets that maybe people found offensive. And so this guy, he was writing this story about this terrible thing that happened. And I honestly thought he was making fun of someone who wrote like that about something that happened. But it turned out that is a thing that happened. So people read it, and people who weren't familiar with his style, which is like, I am an ally, and the way I do it is by being sarcastic, which is really kind of a thing that white dudes do. No offense to anyone listening, but trust me, I trafficked in these kinds of white dudes before, and so I kind of know their MO a bit. Again, I'm in comedy, so so like so he writes this big long thing, and Twitter, naturally, it's like a sleepy Sunday morning. Twitter wakes up, they read this, they're like, the fuck, man. And so a lot of people were like, this sounds abusive. Like, this sounds as if you were very abusive to your child. And how dare you make her wait 6 hours to open up a can of beans? Why didn't you just open it up and show her how to work it rather than making her identify the parts of a can opener? Right. And he was like, oh, she ate a full breakfast. It wasn't. Anyway, people take 6 hours in between meals all the time. Think of it. Lunch at 12, dinner at 6. That's 6 hours. And I'm like, yeah, bruh, you are not helping things. Yeah. You are not helping your case. So, as someone who, so he's, kind of battling back, like, whatever, you guys. I can't believe these people. Clearly, the people who are upset with me are the people who are not my normal followers, and they don't get the heightened thing that I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, well, if you're public, everyone can read you. That's the thing about Twitter. So, but not only can everyone read you, everyone can go back into your old tweets, which you naturally did not go through and delete any of them because you think every word of yours is precious. Mm-hmm. So they went back and found some tweets that definitely look very anti-Semitic. And they were like, oh, is this you? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And so they start showing all of these really racist and anti-Semitic tweets that he has done. And then Ken Jennings tries to drop in with like the whole, hey man, we do this show together. He's not anti-Semitic. In fact, when we're talking on the show, he's the one that's pro-Israel. And I'm like, bruh, what are you doing? Do any of you know what's happening? So John Roderick ends up deleting his Twitter account. Okay. Just deleting the whole thing. And I guess a couple of days later, he writes this long apology that's just like, "Hey, my bad. Okay, what I should have said. All right, in this story, I mean, it did happen, but what I really should have explained was how we were laughing the whole time, and I was doing the puzzle, and she was kind of helping me with the puzzle, and then I was helping her with the can opener thing, and there was like some pistachios there too that we were snacking on. Also, my wife was in the room, and she was at part times laughing at with us, and then upset because we were disturbing her while she was on her laptop, and it was just a family afternoon kind of thing. And then, she got the beans open. And it's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, okay, so I guess I did kind of, now that people have brought it to my attention, I guess it is kind of written and I end up framing it in the way that abusive parents might be.
Yeah.
So I can see where that might be a little bit triggering. So my bad on that one. Um, and as far as the racist tweets go, I'm actually an ally. And the way that I like to help is by using the terms and then being sarcastic with it in a way that it seems very obvious to me, but I guess maybe is not. Um,
Oh my
so
God.
he's like, I got a lot of work to do, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to take a break, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, we all knew, I mean, he was fighting back at the time in such a vigorous way that when he deleted it and then wrote the apology, it's like, wow, he wrote an apology. But of course, he wrote an apology. His homeboy's trying to be the host of
Yeah.
Jeopardy. So of course he's going to have to write an apology because his homeboy just had to, like, a few days before that, delete some tweets and write a pre-apology before people found the tweets where he's like, I am silly on here, and then sometimes it doesn't translate, and so I just want to preemptively say my bad on that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you dudes. So everyone just called him Bean Dad, but because he was also in this indie rock band, people have been calling him Bean Dad for like 2 days, and then like after a day and a half, there's this new wave of people who are like, wait, this guy who's in this band is Bean Dad? So now it's like another wave of people realizing that it's the singer of this band, which was another layer of like, well, I never liked that band. You know what I mean? Like it's been going on for entirely far too long. But that's just that's what's happening on Twitter currently.
Go ahead.
As
Being Dad.
people are working through Being Dad. And if there's any lesson that should be learned of this is, if you are currently on Twitter, don't be precious with your words. If you're not necessarily in the habit, if you think everything you say is gold, it's not. Trust me, it's not. When it's time, when you see something like this pop off, right? And it's about a certain phrase that someone uses or certain things that someone says, go back and search your Twitter and see what you've said about this.
Okay.
I do it every time. When things pop off, I'm like, "Ooh, Lord, let me see if I said something bad about that. I don't want them getting me." You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're weak-willed or anything. It just means you got too much shit going on for the smoke, because this took 2 days out of this man's life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend 2 days fucking fighting on Twitter and then coming up with an apology. No one's going to be happy with it. Just go on and scrub that shit now.
That's it.
Yeah, that should be your lesson. So I had to go back and I was like checking Silky Jumbo for beans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what did I say? Have I said anything bad about can openers? Like, I'm just like, whatever. What are we doing? But
oh man, yeah, that would be, yo, if you lost a job because of your position on can opener shop.
It's just such a wild thing. But I mean, like, I have
because of her stark stance on the.
I mean, I have weird takes on stupid things that I feel adamant about. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'll lose a job over it. But shit, we don't know. We don't know if you'll lose a job over it. But maybe there's a tweet that someone wrote about a year ago that's like, I'm paraphrasing, but basically the point of every day Twitter has a main like character, and my job is to not be that person.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So every day, Twitter has a person that they are mad at. And really, your job should be to not be the person that they're mad at. And I think I think that should be needlepoint on it in every home.
Yeah, that's a good like life philosophy.
Yeah, just like every day something is gonna pop up. I mean, like, yeah, just keep your head down and do your work or whatever. And then, just feel strongly, I guess, about whatever it is you're putting out there. And if you're willing to fucking fight for it, but think about what it is that you're willing to fight for. You know what I mean? Are you actually listening to the complaints that are coming, or are you just trying to deflect because they didn't get your erudite joke? That the people are too stupid and they went straight to abuse instead of realizing that you couldn't be the kind of person who would do this and then tweet about it. Yeah. Well, we don't know that about you. Bro, we're calling you Bean Dad. We don't know shit about you.
Oh, man. Well, folks, as you guys have seen, the level of nuance to which I know baseball, Shalewa knows Twitter. That's kind of where our time lies. We're not here with y'all.
Yeah. Oh, I should read a book.
Oh, man. This has been another War Report. As always, thank you all for listening. Really appreciate y'all. If you like us, please like and subscribe to the show. If you are an Apple Podcast listener, please rate the show. 5 stars is always appreciated. 4 stars is cool too, but we haven't had one yet. Don't be the one to break the streak.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah, please send in any articles you want us to talk about on the show. We always welcome that. DM us on Twitter for any of those. Follow us on our social medias. You can also watch the show now on YouTube, War Report Podcast with Gastor and Shalewa. You'll see it up there. We out in these YouTube streets. We making it pop, you know what I mean? Getting crazy in the visual game. We do it all. Whatever y'all need, we got. You want his radio broadcast, I will figure out how to get an FM station. I don't know.
Because he will not want to pay anybody to do it.
Damn
So
right.
he will absolutely
I
figure
will freaking MacGyver that shit out of my house. But there will be some radio frequency you can find me if there's enough people asking for that. We will make it happen. So yeah, thank you for listening. Always appreciate y'all support. I am Gastor Almonte with the homie Shalewa Sharpe. It's been another War Report. Check y'all next week. Peace.